Good morning, Eugenetics. How are you today? Now we are going to read number 16, series number 16. This is the chapter 13 of my book. So the title is Train from Florence to Rome and Bus to the South. We just took the trains to visit the Leaning Tower of Pisa, the great art city of Florence, and the Eucharistic miracle sites of Lanciano and Bolsena. We peeped into the lives of saints like Saint Francis of Assisi, Saint Clare, Saint Catherine of Siena, Saint Rita di Cascia, Saint Gennaro, and many more. I still remember our train ride from Florence to Rome. It was midnight. When we entered the train, people, mostly men, were standing in the corridors beside the train windows. In front of them, there were empty, vacant glass cubicles with tables and benches. We walked a little more, and the scene was the same. People crowded the corridors while the open glass cubicles with tables and benches were empty. We took the nearest cubicle and occupied it all for ourselves. We were thinking that Italians are used to standing up during the commute. That was what we observed in the city buses also. Perhaps these people at the corridors near the windows were smokers, and that's what we thought. While we were dozing off, we heard a loud voice at the other cubicle. Prima classe biglietto. The artful dodgers in us told us this cubicle was for the first class passengers and someone was inspecting the tickets. We had economy tickets. I stood up and said, "Run!" We were gone before the inspector arrived at our cubicle. The old men of the corridors were laughing, like catching their grandchildren dipping their hands into the cookie jar. We arrived at Rome almost frozen. We entered the coach for the cargoes, and the walls had open spaces since there was no air conditioning there. But we simply dismissed it as part of the fun. There was a time when the whole group planned to explore the southern part of Italy. We rented a long, big bus. We left Rome at 4 in the morning. And sure enough, everyone was asleep, including the driver. Purser FM, who woke up from his deep nap, told us the driver was also sleeping. It was as expected, but very dangerous. The time was time to sleep, and the roads going south of Italy were narrow and much winding. I have this weird habit of whistling the telephone landline sound when I am bored. I have mastered this, and believe me, I caught a lot of people who believed it was a phone that was really ringing. I thought this sound would wake up the driver, so I whistled. True enough, the driver wiped his eyes with his right hand and took a deep breath. Then he answered the telephone on his dashboard. Pronto! He looked at the telephone when no one answered at the other line and put it back. Those of us who were suddenly awake would look at each other and chuckle. The purser tapped at me again. The driver's head was bent forward. I whistled again. The driver answered agitated. Pronto! Pronto! The third time I whistled and the driver really thought the telephone was ringing and nobody answered, he called up the head office and lectured in a high voice the person at the office. By that time, the sun was coming out. We were gaping in awe at the scenic, charming Positano along the equally enchanting Amalfi coast. I told the group that I was tired of whistling and fooling the driver. I suggested that a beautiful and sexy flight attendant should sit beside the driver and talk to him to keep him awake. Before we entered Pompeii, he was asking for the telephone number of the flight attendant. Up to now, he never knew that it was not the telephone ringing, but me and my naughty whistle. Okay, let's end it here. So next Wednesday, I will read number 17. So Eugenetics, let's end it here. Have a good day. I love you.